yeah, I should win just because you had the Timberwolves in the 8th seed.
Vasilevsky's been playing really well, and the Lightning have a great offense.
Yeah, it was a tremendous shot, and I've come to expect it from LeBron. I would say I wish the best for the Red Sox, but as a Yankees fan, that's really hard for me to do.
The biggest addition to me is Jalen Brunson.
Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, and that's all I have to say. He's still a top 5 quarterback in this league, and there's nothing really anyone can do about it.
Why'd you have to name him? Like, seriously? Like, thanks, man.
Who would have thought 5 years ago that the Clippers and Nets would be facing in the finals?
How is Joe Burrow going to get the ball to them if his butt is already on the ground?
Crazy. And for the fans at home,
Hello, I'm Cy Mendenhall, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week. Yesterday, we talked about torpedo bats and just kind of that way in the game. Now you have the tush push, which has been talked about, and it was raised by this idea of banning the tush push was raised by the Green Bay Packers, Austin's team.
Yeah, this is very similar to the torpedo bat in my opinion. I don't see a reason to ban it. Every team can do it. I don't see why you would ban it. Now, I have heard arguments regarding the defense. The defense used to be able to push players into the offense to stop them. And I'd be understanding if they decide to bring that back to supplement for this. But at the same time, like, I don't see why every offense in the league cannot implement this. And if you can't, it's a skill issue, not a play issue.
Yeah, I agree. It is really just they know how to do it. And I would love if it does get banned, I would love to have Jason Kelsey talk about how they do it. Because on his podcast, it was a year or two ago, he's like, there's a way to do it. He was talking about Jordan Mailata, but they just don't explain it. Because that really is the reason why teams will try it, but it doesn't work that way. So I'm very interested in see what it looks like in the future. I do think there is a way to stop it. I just don't think a team has figured that out yet. So, and it's only really unstoppable with the Eagles. If it was widespread, like every team could figure it out, then I could understand the idea of banning it. But to me, just because one team is doing it does not make it fair to ban it.
Disparity just proves that it is a skill issue, like I said before. If it was everybody got it 90% of the time, 95% of the time, then sure, I understand that maybe the play may be the problem. But when the difference is like 95% to like 70 or 60%, that's a huge difference, especially when the Eagles get down at the 1 yard line and it's second down. I already put the 7 points on the board, and I don't do that with any other team, right? Like, you think they're going to score, but with the Eagles, it's like, yeah, they're going to push this 3 times, and the odds of them not scoring on one of the 3 is impossibly low. So you can just put the 7 points on the board.
Yeah, exactly. It is really tough, and I think there's still a way to stop it. Maybe it's just loading up on big guys in the NFL and kind of bringing that back instead of getting thinner, as you've kind of seen with Dan Quinn's defense. So, yeah, NFL. Yeah, I just don't think they should do it. I don't know if it gets banned. It's because I thought it was going to get banned, and then they pushed it back. So I'm very interested to see how this upseason. Well, I think they said in May. I think they'll still have it for this season, correct?
From what I understand, yes, because they went through. I thought it was going to get banned as well because I saw it like had support or whatever to be banned. But then what happened was all the bans or all the new changes had come out, and that one wasn't mentioned. So that made me think that it's going to survive at least for another year.
Yeah, and from the owners just decided to table it or just like, we'll discuss this later. So I do think there's time to see how it goes. The only reason I would ban it is, like you said, if it's not a scheme issue or an unfair advantage for the offenses because not everyone's doing it as well as the Eagles. It's just an Eagles advantage.
Yeah, and just because one team does it insanely well doesn't mean that it should be banned for everyone.
Exactly. I think that's a great point. So I'm curious to see what happens with it because you have Kellen Moore. Do you think he takes it and the Saints figure it out, I'm just surprised no one has figured it out yet. To me, it's just about it's soon to happen. It's kind of like trying to think I'm trying to think of a great team and just what they had, and then soon they had to adjust. Like you have the deep passes with Tyreek Hill and the Chiefs. But
Yeah, I kind of get what you're saying. But sometimes no one really did figure it out. I mean, or it takes a long time to actually figure it out. Like I would say like the 49ers offense, the West Coast offense is what it's called. That is still pretty popular today, but it doesn't guarantee success. And that's the same thing with the Tush Push, right? It doesn't guarantee success just because you use it, but one team uses it so much better than everybody else that it just makes it seem like it's impossible to defend.
yeah, and another thing to me that is interesting is you've seen like the quarterback sneak just works. It makes sense. But you don't see every quarterback doing it because you have that Patrick Mahomes injury and just injuries in the past. So that goes to me of just the Eagles know how to make it work because you have Jalen Hurts, who his leg strength is incredible. And I thought the tush push was going to slow down because of Jason Kelsey being gone. I think he was a key reason to part of it. And I don't think it was as good, but it still hurt. But it was still very productive with Cam Jurgens playing center for the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles are definitely a team that it's defined this era that the Jalen Hurts era. I think has been defined by the tush push, and I think there's been schemes or like, for example, another thing that I really do think about is like Terrell Davis and the Broncos for that couple of years. No one could stop him. He obviously had a 2,000-yard season, but that wasn't something that the success at some point fell off. I don't think for the entirety of Jalen Hurts' career is this going to be a mainstay. And now I understand that he still has a long way to go, and it may be a big thing for the Eagles for the next 3-4 years. But I think eventually it will be figured out by a defense, and then will be duplicated by every other defense in the league, which will cause it to maybe not be stopped, but definitely go out of style for maybe the Eagles or other teams. Again, I don't think for the entirety of Jalen Hurts' career is this going to be a mainstay. For every 1-yard situation, they have to go for a tush push because it's basically a 95% chance of you getting it. I just don't see that as a possibility over the next 5 years.
Yeah, I feel like it gets stopped. Like, it's just to me, who is that creative mind? Because Vic Fangio's on the Eagles, so he's I think a great defensive mind, and I'm trying to look for a young guy that can figure it out because you kind of have defenses you have offense figure out new defenses. What were you thinking about that young defensive mind?
Well, it's actually a little bit differently. You mentioned Vic Fangio. Do you think, because he's going to get a new job at some point, like if the Eagles continue to do well, I think he'll get another head coaching job. I don't think it's crazy to think that, right? Don't you think at some point?
I think has he had one before? Because he had the Broncos.
Yeah, he was the Denver. Yeah.
Did he have one before? Because he also may just like being a defensive coordinator. So I can see him staying. That's my thing. Because are you just thinking then he could know how to stop it?
No, I wasn't saying that he knows how to stop it, but do you think he thinks about how to stop it? Do you think that he is trying to plan out how to stop it? Maybe he doesn't know. I'm not saying he knows. But do you think he's like, this is how I go about trying to solve it? Because you really don't have to solve it for every other team besides the Eagles. But do you think he tries to figure out how to stop it, even though he is obviously the defensive coordinator for the Eagles? Do you think he thinks about that? Do you think he game plans about that?
Yeah, I like to think he's like a really nerdy football person. So I do think some football person that tries to think about it. And he is a coach, and he's like, I'm seeing it. How would I stop it? And maybe he talks about it with an offensive coach.
Yeah. But also, like, you don't want him to leave and then have that information. So I don't think a lot of people would try to help him with that. Maybe a couple of his defensive coaches, because they'd probably follow him if he went anywhere else. But I do think that he tries to figure it out. And then you said it could be a new young coach. That coach could be in high school coaching, college coaching, could be an assistant somewhere. someone will figure it out. This isn't a unsolvable puzzle.
Yeah, I do think Hurts is a part of the puzzle, though. I think him being the quarterback and just his leg strength plays a factor.
Sure.
in
I
it.
just don't think that it will be unsolvable for the entirety of Jalen Hurts' career.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And like Tom Brady was great at quarterback sneaks, but like he still didn't do that way deep into his career. They found a different way. That's just what I remember when we were growing up. It was like Tom Brady's going to quarterback sneak. He's a master at it. So that could just be how Jalen Hurts is viewed as. But we'll have to keep an eye on it. I think some teams are trying to stop it, but an idea hasn't worked. And I would rather have the idea of someone's going to stop it instead of the NFL getting rid of it.
I agree. It kind of seems like a cop-out.
It does feel like a cop-out. And I do think there's like an evolution to it. Like, okay, this is the evolution of the game. This is how teams respond to it. But we'll have to see. I'll let you close this one out.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening. Please let us know what you guys think about the Tush Push. Should it get banned? Should it not get banned? Do you think it'll be banned in the future? Thank you again.